Hello, folks. Craig T. Stewart here, and welcome to another What the Book webisode. The book today is The Silent Wife by Karin Slaughter, and you will not believe how hard it was for me to not slaughter that book name. I kept saying life, wife, knife. It was bad, but overall, I will give it a rating of 4 out of 5. But before I get too far, what is the book about? The Silent Wife by Karin Slaughter is the 10th book in the Will Trent series, intertwining past and present to deliver a wonderful crime narrative. During Will Trent and Sarah Litton's investigation into a murder, an inmate named Daryl Nesbitt claims he was wrongfully convicted of a similar brutal crime. Will and Sarah revisit cases from almost a decade previous, including one involving the late Jeffrey Tolliver, which would be Sarah's former husband and the Grant County police chief, whose actions are now in question. As they deep dive the murderer's trail, they uncover the connections between old and new cases, suggesting the serial killer might have been free and active for years after uh, putting Daryl Nesbitt away. The book alternates between the current investigation and flashbacks to the original case, providing an insight into the complexities of Sarah's relationship with both Jeffrey and Will. This book delves into themes of justice, betrayal, and the personal toll of law enforcement work, with the author's signature blend of emotional depth and suspense. The investigation tests professional boundaries and capabilities while also challenging the morality and the relationship between characters. Now, what I liked about the book, I enjoyed the refreshing reality that Karin Slaughter writes in. It felt like a true story with a depth of characters and well written dialogue. The switching between past and present adds a fantastic aspect to the investigation. Um, and the character relationships as well, showing how the serial killer and characters evolved over time. The author is from the same part of Georgia, Atlanta, where the series does take place. And yes, this is towards the end of the series, but I don't think it's difficult to dive in as a standalone novel like I did. There's some interpersonal relationships that are a bit confusing at first, but nothing that breaks the narrative, in my opinion. Lastly, while I did figure out who the killer was about 55% of the way through the story, I have to say, I was doubtful on the occasion leading up to the climax of the book until it became undeniable, in my opinion. So, for that, well done, Karen. What I didn't like, this is not my mainstay genre, as anyone who follows the What the Book series should know by now. And the past, present love triangles, that whole aspect to it, um, they weren't a highlight for me. They don't hurt the story, and they probably enhance it, even if I'm not a fan. It's just not my thing. So, with that, one other thing, I'm sure the reality of people in the policing world revolves around swearing like sailors a lot more than I would like to admit, but it doesn't sit right with me. And the colorful characters and their emotions affecting their ability to do their jobs, and by extension, the serial workplace dating, it just it rubs me the wrong way. Maybe I'm coming from a high horse here, but that's just not logical or ethically sound. And to be clear, it doesn't hurt the narrative. The story is the story, far from hurting the story. But I just don't like how characters repeatedly break boundaries like that. And it just seems like they don't necessarily learn their lessons. In conclusion, I'd say this is similar to the Bones book series and similar books in that specific line of thinking. But I am admittedly limited in knowledge for the genres of police procedural and suspense thrillers. So let me know in the comments if I'm off or on base here. The book's engaging, logical, and casual all at the same time. And I think anyone that's looking for a book in that could be emotional, that could also be highly logical and casual, you will find a good story here. Once again, I have to rate it a 4/5 out of all. Well written, worth a read, hard to say the title apparently this morning, but just not my favorite genre or style to read. I hope you enjoyed this webisode. Let me know what you thought of it and if you've read The Silent Wife by Karin Slaughter. Let me know in the comments what your takeaways were. Don't forget to check out the other webisodes in the full-length podcasts, and they're available on Substack and Spotify. You can find links to them all by going to craigtstewart.com. With all that said, have a good one, folks.